So when it comes to who makes the best cars, there's really kind of two major pieces of the puzzle. One piece of it is the part that we do at our track, which is evaluating each of the vehicles. We do over 50 tests of each of the vehicles. Everything, whether it's braking, wet braking, emergency handling, interior, fit and finish. Controls have become a big issue lately as we put a lot more electronic controls and internet connectivity into the cars. That's the one piece, and then we come up with the ratings, which is from a 0 to 100 scale. The other piece of the puzzle is from our annual questionnaire, so it's the reliability part of it. Now, that is not a judgment that we make. We purchase all the vehicles that we test. That car breaks down or that car does well, that doesn't come into the reliability piece of the puzzle. That's from our subscribers. So this year there's 1.2 million vehicles that we have data on. We compile that data and we use that to predict which of the vehicles are going to be better or worse going forward. So we put that all together, and each year we do a report card to the manufacturers. We didn't do that this year. This is not the manufacturers, this is actually done by the brands. So we broke it up a little bit. Before we tell you which is best, whether or not it's General Motors or Toyota, now this is actually done by all of the brands. So please take a look. I'm sure everyone can hear me here without the mic.
No, we're taping.
Oh, you're taping?
Yeah.
I will go back here for the mic. So the top cars are, as you can see, a lot of the Japanese makes. The first line is Lexus, Subaru, Mazda. Those are the top three makes. It's very interesting to note that Lexus, despite having very complex cars and a lot of equipment, still makes very good cars in terms of reliability. This is something that a lot of the European models have had trouble with, and also the domestics, such as Ford, which put a lot of electronics and connectivity into that, which they've stumbled in terms of the reliability, and also how the cars perform. So when you put a lot of features into the car, you wind up having some issues where making simple things could be difficult. Controlling the radio, controlling the climate system. Lexus really stood out by being able to put all that, pull all that into the car and still make very good cars in terms of reliability and performance. Also at the top, Subaru and Mazda. These cars, they aren't major automakers, but they make outstanding vehicles. Cars that handle very well, that ride very well, that have excellent reliability. Really great choices. Also at the top, Toyota, Acura, Honda, Scion. Interestingly, in the top 10, we got Audi. Now, Audi really surprised us this year. We talked about it also in terms of reliability. Audi has come a long way. 5 years ago, I never thought I would be talking about Audi and good reliability in the same sentence or even paragraph. But they have really come a long way, making most of their entire product line above average or average reliability. They've always made very nice driving cars, but now they have nice driving cars that are reliable too. And actually, even if you look at the performance of them, in many ways, they ride, they handle better than competitors from BMW or Mercedes-Benz. Also, at the top, the Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes-Benz makes outstanding driving vehicles. Reliability is the reason they're towards the mid-pack. Cadillac is the best American make, largely by the strength of the Cadillac CTS, which is very reliable, as well as just a great performing vehicle. Cadillac, they redesigned a lot of the vehicles a few years ago, really improved them quite a lot, and the reliability has been there too. Interestingly, take a look at Volkswagen. Again, making that change this year, where we took apart Volkswagen and Audi and not used them as just one manufacturer, but actually two brands. There's quite a difference. Seems like they've taken a fork in the road in terms of Audi and Volkswagen. Volkswagen making more kind of mainstream vehicles, losing that driver's edge that they used to have, really not standing out so much, and also having some issues with reliability, where Audi, despite larger, more equipment, they're actually been more reliable. As for the domestics, looking at the domestics as a whole, they've gone through an incredible transformation where they're coming out with new models. And not new models in the sense of when an Accord redesigns or a Camry redesigns. They've redesigned the vehicles almost entirely. I mean, you look at Ford Fusion, for instance. new powertrains, new platform, new everything about this vehicle. And when this happens, when you have these new vehicles that don't share almost anything of the old models, there are reliability issues. So a lot of the domestic makes are being held down by reliability issues from these influx of new models. The other issue is cleaning out the old cars. So while there are these new vehicles that have problems with reliability, the old models that are still for sale do bring down the overall score. Let me take you to another way of looking at this data. This is a two-axis here. As an engineer, I really love this chart. But it shows the difference in the reliability versus the better test score of each one of the brands. So if you look towards the top, these are the most reliable cars. So as we talked before, Toyota as a manufacturer makes very reliable cars. But the simplest cars are the most reliable. So Scion, right at the top, that's the most reliable. As you go down, you can see Toyota, Lexus, excellent, Mazda, Honda, Subaru. And you can see Audi is the most reliable non-Japanese make. Another way to look at the graph is if you look at the better test scores. As you go to the right of the graph, you can see Lexus, Subaru, Acura, Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Infiniti. These are all excellent performing vehicles. But as you move to the left, these are the less reliable vehicles. So when you have a vehicle like Jeep, which has some of the older models that aren't performing very well and a lot of reliability issues, it winds up right at the bottom. Which is unfortunate because some of the new models, such as the Jeep Grand Cherokee, is actually a wonderful vehicle. But it's those new vehicles, getting the performance right, and also waiting a few years, unfortunately, which we'll need to get those bugs out of the vehicles. So the Japanese brands are raising the bar. 8 of the top 10 are Japanese brands. A lot of these really aren't big surprises, but I need to highlight Honda, because Honda really has turned itself around just recently. And we've seen several years of Hondas not being as good as their last models. Over the last several years, where a new redesign would come and it doesn't really handle as crisply as the outgoing model, or it doesn't really have it may ride worse or noisier, or the interior fit and finishes actually took a backseat, and that's been too bad. Probably the low watermark was the redesign of the Honda Civic, which scored too low for us to recommend. But stuff happens quick, because now that Honda Civic has been freshened. We put out the information about that in this magazine, where it is improved enough that we recommend it. It's now a solid performing vehicle. But the big surprise is that Honda Accord. So the Honda Accord just kind of blew us away. This car improved substantially over the last model, and you'll hear more about it in top picks, but I mean, 30 miles per gallon of a mid-size sedan is what we recorded, which is the same fuel efficiency we recorded on the Honda Fit, which is pretty outstanding. So a couple key points that I went over. Cadillac is mid-pack, but it's ahead of the Detroit brands. The domestics are being dragged down by some reliability. Ford and Lincoln, they're still being dragged down by the complicated controls of the My Ford Touch systems and My Lincoln Touch systems. There's been some improvements, but we have even gone back in terms of our reliability. We've actually recontacted the owners that told us they had problems with these systems, just to make sure that they weren't having problems figuring them out. And they told us, no, they aren't working right. We brought them back to the dealer. Sometimes it was fixed, sometimes it wasn't. And Chrysler, perhaps the most nimble manufacturer right now. They're changing very quickly, but as they change, there's some reliability issues, and there's still some baggage of the old models. Europeans, they're inconsistent. Some of them are doing very well. Audi, a big surprise, getting their act together. Mercedes-Benz makes the excellent vehicles, but the reliability is not there. Volkswagen is transforming from that unique European mark to kind of just very standard vehicles in some ways. And Mini's reliability has been disappointing, especially the turbo models. I'm going to turn it over to Rick Paul, the automotive